Hi, my name is Tammy. I'm the president of Fun and Adventure at Singles Travel International. And tonight I am hosting our South Africa Safari, Cape Town and Wine Country meet and greet. Just finished meeting all of our members who are traveling with us to South Africa and to Zambia if they're going on to Victoria Falls. And we're going to be going through the very important details to get ready for your vacation. So I'm going to go over to the page on our website that houses all of the information for this vacation. You're able to follow along anytime by clicking all trips and then tours, and then select the South Africa Singles Wine Country and Cape Town Adventure. The most important thing for everybody here tonight is to know how to find your travel documents. We sent you an email. We always send one 21 days before departure. And then it's also listed here on the website on the left-hand navigation bar. Does everybody see the your travel documents? So I'm going to click on that. And then that opens up to a document. This we call the final vacation details. Sometimes I refer to it as the Dead Sea Scrolls because they're usually very long. They have a lot of important information. And that's what I'm going to use as my basis to share the information that you'll need to know to get started. So right here on the home page, we have emergency contact information. So that is really important. I would recommend that everybody take a minute, not maybe today, but before you leave, and add into your phone all of these numbers so that you have them just in case. We also recommend printing this document out or at least having access to it in a place that you don't have to access internet. We definitely recommend that you have access to internet, that you contact your phone company, make sure that you have access while you're on the road in case you have an emergency, and have this also just in case you don't have access for some reason and you need to ask assistance for somebody in the airport. Obviously, when you arrive, Chris will meet you at the airplane door in Cape Town, which is so comforting to know. As well, life happens. It wouldn't be a bad idea to add his number to your phone. And then also your guide in Victoria Falls, her name is Sue Brooks, add her number in. I see here that we have our toll-free number listed. And I also want to share with everybody my cell phone. I am usually the emergency backup on all of your vacations, especially if you need help on the weekend and you're still in the United States and something happens to your trip. So I'm going to share with you today my cell phone number. I'll put it in the chat so that everybody has access to that. And so I recommend that you put it into your cell phone, and you're always welcome to call me on the cell or even text, right? So sometimes it's easier to text. If you're jumping on a flight, oh, my flight's 3 hours delayed, Tammy, please make sure Chris knows, that kind of a thing. So, be comfortable and have all of your contact numbers just in case you have a situation where you need to notify us of any changes of your plans on the way to South Africa. After that, we've got this really handy checklist, and I am super pleased to say that these checklists are getting shorter. We've been traveling since September of 2020. That's right, VJ, you were on our very first trip in 2020 to California for our wine tasting tour. And all of a sudden, the preparation requirements got longer and more involved, and we managed it. And now these lists are getting shorter. So that's a good thing. Going to Africa, though, has always been a more complex process, and there are some special things to do to get ready. So let's start with the checklist. You must have a passport that's valid for 6 months after your return date. So when this trip ends on the 27th or the 29th, if you're going to Victoria Falls, your passport should be good for 6 months after that time. So if you haven't checked that yet, please do that. You have 3 weeks, well, just about 2 weeks. So there's still time if you needed to get that taken care of. Hopefully everybody's got their ducks in a row. Travel insurance is mandatory for this vacation. You're going to be in some very remote places. I have been to South Africa. I actually had to take one of our members to the hospital while I was there on the first trip. She fell, broke her leg, and had to have surgery the first day that she was on the trip. And the good news was that she was able to have surgery, patched her up. They actually shipped a cast for her to put on, and she didn't even miss the rest of the trip. Everybody moved so well. And so the medical care in South Africa and in Cape Town is very, very good, but you're going to be in the remote place when you go to Kruger. And so we just want to make sure that you guys have emergency airlift and the medical insurance that you're going to need in case anything happens. It does happen. Although the country of South Africa has waived the requirement for COVID, it's going to be a requirement for Zambia. For those of you that are going into the Victoria Falls area, you're going to need that. And I will go to the paragraph that treats this in a minute, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Malaria protection while you're in Kruger National Park. That is the other areas that you'll be traveling, Cape Town, the wine region. There's no incident of malaria. In Kruger Park, you will need it. There are a couple different ways to medicate to avoid malaria. And you must speak to your doctor or a travel health center professional, a nurse or a doctor that specializes in international travel to get the latest information and how to take what you need to take given the other conditions that you might have. So it's really important that you collaborate with a medical professional when putting together your plan to travel to Africa. We also have a fit and willing to travel commitment. That is something that we implemented at the beginning of the pandemic, and it's just a document for us to gather some important information about you, your flights, agreeing to respect the other members of the vacation, regardless of what we believe. We know that 7.5 billion people approached the pandemic uniquely. And so we just want to make sure that everybody respects that and respect each other in many other ways now that we're running on the tail end of the pandemic. We still want to make sure that it's enjoyable. We are all coming from different places, some of us from different countries, and it's really important that we learn from each other and enjoy meeting new people with new experiences, and keeping maybe some of the limiting beliefs that we have at home. So bring all kinds of new, exciting and positive attitudes with you in your suitcase. And so those are the key important things. So let me get down to this next page here. This is where we unpack the checklist that I just went over. And so some of the details that I discussed are here. When you get a chance, please read through all of this very carefully. And I'm going to talk here about the inoculations. So there, in addition to having your COVID-19 vaccines to get into Zambia, there were traditionally some safeguards to follow when traveling to African countries. And most of us are probably getting the flu vaccine. We probably already had the shingles vaccine, probably measles and polio as kids. So the one that's really most commonly updated is the diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis. That has to be done about every 10 years. So if you haven't done that, that's not a mandatory element, but it is a precaution and highly recommended for travel to Africa. Another safeguard for your health is that we're going to South Africa in November, which is the beginning of the summer season for that country. And so the sun is extremely hot. We want to remind you to drink plenty of liquids. We're going to provide water for you all of the time on all of your tours. Bring strong sunscreen, apply it regularly, bring a great hat. And just, be aware, bring sunglasses, of course, and mosquito repellent. Again, we're taking anti-malarials to protect ourselves from catching malaria, but also having a repellent is going to be an excellent way to keep them from biting you. I personally am attacked by mosquitoes. Some of us are and some of us aren't, right? So those of you who get eaten alive, you're going to want to have something with you. So if you want any more information about health measures while traveling to South Africa and to Zambia, please visit the CDC recommendations for these two countries and the World Health Organization, although we have done a good review for you here. Just going to pass up here because we discussed all of the items on this page. I'm going to talk about socializing. We have every venue of social media. We would love you to follow us on Facebook, and we're on Instagram. And so our name on Facebook is @SinglesTravelInternational. Just write it all out. And we would love for you to follow us. We just had a group in Savannah for Halloween. They had a great time, and our members are going to want to see you. So if you don't mind, when you're posting to Facebook, to add us with the hashtag or the @ Singles Travel International, that'd be awesome. We also have a trip chat on all of our vacation pages. Let me switch over there and see if I'm able to. Here we go, South Africa. On the left nav bar, there's a trip chat, and you just have to click on that, and then you're able to participate in the chat here. Only members who are booked on the trip are able to access this page. You must be logged in, but members who are not booked may not enter, and they will not see this page or your messages, so you may connect and chat with confidence. So I earlier heard that some of you who are rooming together haven't had a chance to meet. This is an easy way to get to know everybody, or to click on the Who's Going page and then click on the profile of the member, and you're able to send a message, request a friend, or view the profile. So you're able to communicate this way too. Again, you need to be logged in to access this feature, and your personal information is not revealed. You will receive an email in your normal email inbox, and then you log in to answer the message, and it appears, I'm going to go all the way to the top of the page. So on every single trip or every page, when you log in this upper right-hand corner, here's my name. Anybody who makes a friend with you or sends a message, there would be a red circle with a number 1 here on messages. And then you just click on that button and it will take you to your message center. So that's how you are able to communicate with other members, which makes it really nice to meet your fellow travel companions. So Single Life Today, what is that? Well, that was a fun way for us to stay connected to our members during the pandemic when we weren't traveling at all. And now we moved everything that we were doing on that separate site back to the travel site. And so all of our events are listed on the event button, which is here in the upper right-hand corner. Whenever you log in, you've got this button here that says events. So you're able to click on that at any time, attend meet and greets. We had a mixology class this week, and we're going to have another one for holiday drinks in November. And we're going to start doing live virtual tours of exotic locations all over the world come November. And our premium members are the only ones that are allowed to come into those, but they are really fun. We saw a lot of cool places during the pandemic, and we're going to continue that. So, pop in from now and again, check on the events, and you're able to just go ahead and sign up right on the event page for reminders. We also have a merch store now. So if you're interested in getting some gear like the one I have today, this is a great safari outfit, keeps me warm when I'm on my game drives early morning and late at night. That's also located here on our store button. So everything that you need to find is up here on the top if it's not a vacation. Here again is our social media. Please follow us before you go. Again, everybody's living vicariously through all of us who are on the road. And it's just a great way for everybody to stay connected, even when we're not traveling. So getting there. Emergency contact information. Again, here's my number. Here's Chris, your guide in South Africa. Add those to your phone. If you haven't purchased insurance, give us a ping. Just go ahead and email us or give us a call and we'll make sure that you have that before you leave. There's an item here that I want to talk about, which is baggage, right? So this is a unique setup. You are traveling to South Africa on a major airline carrier, but when you get to South Africa, the aircraft are very small. And so there is a limitation of 20 kilograms, which is 44 pounds. And we're looking at like a small duffel bag size. Wheels are okay, but it's kind of like the size of those flight attendant bags that you probably all have that fit in the overhead. It just, the duffel makes it a little bit more soft. So when they're packing them into the aircraft, that gives the folks there a little bit more flexibility when they're trying to get all the bags in to meet the weight and balance requirements. So do your best. And on some of the aircraft, they won't even take excess luggage. So, if you have a problem with that, let us know. But what will happen is your bag will be left behind and they will send it on another plane if they are able to get it in. So you really have to be mindful that you fit into these requirements. And what is nice about traveling to South Africa is you're on the go. Obviously, when you're in Cape Town and the wine country, you might be dressing up just a little bit. But we're all like, so far, everybody in the room here is the ladies. We all like Chicos. Those outfits are mix and match. They don't wrinkle. Bring some scarves. Obviously it's summer, but in the evening you may want to use something like that, but just mix and match. And in Africa, one of the things that you want to pay attention to, especially when you're, because you're going to be doing the game drives, is soft, subtle colors. Avoid the color red and go with kind of muted beiges, browns, black is okay, and mix and match your colors and get things that you can roll up so that you are able to fit more into your suitcase. You will be able to do laundry in any of the properties. That's not a problem. I personally like to bring a little bit of powdered soap or just a small 3-ounce bottle of a liquid so that I can hand wash some of my things when I'm on a longer trip like this, when I have those kind of limitations. And if for any reason, this is delayed, if for any reason your bag doesn't arrive when you get to Cape Town, you must file a report with the airline when you get to Cape Town. So get that filed, get a copy of the report. There's going to be a code, and it's going to be the 2-letter code for the airline plus probably 6 digits. And that is necessary for us to track your bags. So once you get a copy of that, give it to Chris so that he's able to follow through on trying to find your bags. So that's going to be an important step if your bags get lost. The next thing that we were talking about a little bit earlier is the arrival flights, and we put your names in alphabetical order, but you notice that some of you are coming in on the 17th, some are arriving here on the arrival date in yellow. If you notice anything that's not correct, please let us know by emailing us at service@singlestravelintl.com. That is our help center, and Catherine and Kimberly monitor that email all day long. And so they get back to you right away, and you are high priority now because you're leaving in a couple of weeks. So again, that is the email address here. That is service@singlestravelintl.com. We're going to be staying at the Commodore Hotel in Cape Town. the Udewerf Hotel in Stellenbosch. You're going to notice a lot of Dutch names and of your hotels and places because the Dutch did colonize South Africa for quite a while. All of your trackers, your rangers rather, at Jack will be Dutch. Your trackers will be native, and they make a great team for helping you find all the animals when you get to Jack Safari Lodge. I know that you're going to love all of these hotels are 5-star. It's an excellent program and everything is top notch. So Victoria Falls Extension also, it's an incredible, somebody mentioned they love the elephants. You're going to do a Zambezi River cruise, and that's a really good chance because that area up there is loaded with elephants. So I hope you get to see the family going through the water like I did when I was there many, many years ago. And here is all of your contact information for all of your hotels. So if you have to leave any information back with somebody to be able to contact you, it has the dates of where you're at, as well as the hotel information. But always for your family, share my cell phone number with them, just in case they need you for an emergency any time of the day or night. They may text or call me, and I will make sure that we put them in touch with you if that is necessary. What I wanted to talk about now is I'm not going to go over the itinerary necessarily, but for those of you who are going into Victoria Falls, we have some options. And we sent emails out, and I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that we have these options for the free time on the 28th. If anybody is still interested, please email us at service@singlestravelintl.com to add your option. Some of them may be combined. I think one of the favorites is the falls, a helicopter ride over the falls. It's only 30 minutes or 20 minutes. So it's quick, but it's kind of like doing the Napili coastline in Hawaii. It's a very unique experience. And so I highly recommend those. We've got an afternoon tea, and personally, the village tour, I think, are pretty cool because you get to go into a real working village and see what it's like. It's not Disney. It's not a show. These are real people living in the village, and they open up their village to tourists so they can see what it's like and see what their traditional customs are. For me personally, that's one of the things I like to do when I go to Africa. So again, if you'd like to add those, just let us know. All the details are in here. And you can see also then on page, what page number is this? Number 10, we show who is confirmed so far. And I'll just add that if you don't add any of these right now and you do decide to do it, of course, based on availability, Chris would do his best to add you. So, we prefer, based on their recommendation, that you book it early so that there's no disappointment. But certainly, if there is availability when you decide to go for some reason, because that's what happens. A lot of times, people are busy or they're not really sure. And then you get there and you see what everyone else is doing, and the guide, adds a little more life to it. And then you're excited. And so you may change your mind. And so we want to be able to accommodate you as long as it's available. So here's another aspect that I want to make you aware, which is passports and visas. So in order to enter South Africa, there's no requirements. That's going to be easy breezy. When you get to South Africa, they're going to stamp it, and it looks like you have to have 2 blank visa pages. So just look at your passport. Usually the visa pages are toward the back. So take a look and make sure that you have 2 open pages so that they can endorse your passport when you get there. And then when you get into, we're going to fly from Mpumalanga. That's the name of the airport. near the Jock Lodge, and we're going to go into Livingstone. And when you get there, they're going to check your vaccine certification. So have your Vax cards with you. If you have it in a QR code, that's great, but the old fashioned card is also fine. I also recommend taking a photo of the front and the back of your card to have on hand, just in case you lose it. Most authorities throughout the last 2 years that I've been traveling have accepted it on my iPhone, as well as just having the actual Vax card with me. I think it will be really also important that you have $50 in US cash. And I probably wouldn't have a $50 bill because it's not as common. I would bring, two 20s and a 5, and make sure that they're relatively new bills. They don't have to be brand new, but they shouldn't be torn or mutilated in any way. Other countries are suspicious when they see money or they're not able to cash it in. So, relatively good condition bills and $50 in US cash. You'll need to get your visa when you enter. A little bit about weather, attire, and packing. I mentioned mix and match, bring items that are, it's going to be could be in the 80s. 74 is perfect. It's going to be such nice weather for you. It could get a little bit warm. So the key in many places in the world, and especially here in South Africa or Alaska, I would give the same advice, is layers. So bring a couple t-shirts, a couple of fleeces like I'm wearing, or a sweatshirt, maybe a jacket that's water resistant in case you get a little rain. Although when you're going, it's like one of the lowest incidents of precipitation. So that's great. But stick with multiple layers, because when you go on your morning drives, you're going to get up in the dark. The lodge is going to, put a little coffee or tea either in your room or outside your room. If you have to have something before you go out on the game drive, I remember rooming with a gal one year, and she had a condition and she needed a little something in her stomach. They brought her some hard-boiled eggs. So if that's the case, let Chris know, because usually you're getting up really early and it's dark and it could be a little chilly. So wear your layers. And then by the time 10 o'clock rolls around, or 9:30, when you're finished, it might be starting to get warm. So you're going to want to shed those layers, and you come back to the camp, and then you have breakfast. And then you're free for a little bit, and then you go out again in the evening, because this is when the animals are active. So when you go out in the evening, when you first go out, it'll be a little bit warm, but by the time you're finished your drive, it'll be dark and it could be a little bit chilly again. So layers are going to be the best thing for you in all of the locations, but especially in the game park. So we talked about laundry that's available to you, not a problem. Here are some practical items that we recommend. And one of the things that you definitely want to wear in the game park, or at Jock Lodge rather, is comfortable walking shoes with closed toes. We hope that you're going to be able to do a bush walk. It's not always possible, it depends on the weather, but that's going to give you a chance to go with one of the rangers into the bush, and they're going to talk about life in the bush and what it's like and how do they find the animals. And it's a lot of fun, but you need closed-toed shoes for that. So I know sometimes when it's warm weather, we like to wear sandals, which will be fine in Cape Town or in Stellenbosch, but not at the lodge. Here's an important piece. The electrical current in South Africa is like Europe. It's 220, which is double what our electrical current is. So any of your devices just simply plugged in with an adapter are going to blow them out. Now, some of the iPhones or some of the computers have they have the capacity to draw on either 220 or 110, and they convert automatically. But I would definitely recommend that you bring an adapter and a converter. So you need both. The adapter is what's going to allow you to put a US or a Canadian, 2 flat prong into the electrical outlets in South Africa. And then the converter is what steps down the voltage. So you need both. Sometimes people just buy that little adapter and they say, oh, well, I plug my device in and I put this in the, in the AC plug in the wall in my room, but it's too hot and it will melt your device. So that's what you need the converter for. That's to step down that electrical current. And then we have a link here. I guess I'll go there for you guys and show you what it looks like. Here is the difference. This is what the, what the plug, what the wall looks like. And this is the kind of plug that you need in Africa. So you need something that's going to be able to let you plug in the two. So these are the two flat prongs. This one would work, but the other end has to look like this. So then in addition, you have to have the converter that steps down the electrical. So I think this one is this is just an adapter. So this alone wouldn't work. You also need a converter. So I like to buy one that's good for multiple countries. That would be my recommendation. So I'm going back to our document and bear with me while I go down to that page again. Sorry for the quick scroll, but we're almost at the end here, and then we'll open up for some questions. So currency is the rand while you're in South Africa, and you would be able to change your money beforehand if you'd like. My favorite way is to do it at the airport when I arrive. I usually do a little bit of an exchange. I bring my debit card. I bring a Visa or a MasterCard when I travel internationally instead of American Express, which isn't widely accepted. And then I bring maybe 500 in US cash that I'm able to exchange while I'm there. So if you're a big shopper, you might need more. It all depends on your personality, but 500 might even be too much for this trip because everything is so included and you will be able to use your credit cards. So you might just want to go over with maybe 300 and a debit card in case you need more, plus your credit cards. And of course, Chris will be with you the whole time if you need to do anything at all to exchange your funds. We talked about safari safety in terms of what to wear. When you're at Jock Lodge, you are not going to be, when you go to a hotel, let's say you're in a resort somewhere and you leave your room at night and you walk to the main lodge or the main place where the restaurants are. Well, that's not the case here at the lodge. There's always going to be somebody to escort you because it's in the middle of the bush and there are animals that could come through at any time. So there's a caution side, but there's also a beautiful part of that. And I'm not going to tell you any stories because I want you guys to come back and share them with us, because those Ellies may just show up right at your front door some morning. But it makes it exciting. And so they'll give you a full briefing when you arrive. Most of the animals are, when you're out on the game drives, you're in an open vehicle, which is also super cool because it's great for photo taking. Everybody will have a window and the animals just, they're not bothered by the vehicles and they won't tend to be any danger at all. And usually if you stop when you're on the vehicles, they're in a place that's not surrounded by high grass. They're going to go to a higher terrain that's a little bit open. And there's some fun things that they do during the drives that you're going to be surprised about when you get there. But just, follow whatever the rules are that they brief you on when you get to the lodge. And included in our package are all of the things listed here below. The pretty much the only thing that's not included are a couple of dinners and gratuities to your guides. We have some recommendations here. And of course, gratuities are always at your own discretion. So I know that you'll be very pleased with Chris and Sue and the rangers and the trackers. And so we imagine that you'll thank them for their service. But again, it is a personal, these are recommendations. So it's up to you. And if your services, then of course, be open, and you can pay them in US dollars, you can pay them in Rand, you can Venmo them. I'm sure they'll take credit cards, whatever the case may be. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. And that's pretty much it for me. Let me just take a look at my notes here and make sure I covered everything that I wanted to with you. Yes, I sure did. So I'm going to conclude my presentation so that we can do questions and answers. And I'm going to stop the recording right now. So for any of you who are watching us on YouTube, thanks for joining. And we hope to meet you sometime on a vacation for singles over 50.